Hey, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening in Singapore, man? Well, it's been a month since I left Singapore, and essentially what's happening is the unbelievable has happened. Father Kwek Leng Beng has taken Sherman Kwek to court, and essentially a lot of dispute. Now, in this week's video, we're going to ask our two companions here. Hey, that's a snowman. What's happening at CDL Hotel Trust? Is the father correct or the son correct? Now, what happens to corporate governance, and what are the lessons that you, the investor, can learn from the CDL as well as city development episode? Now, having worked with and for Kwek Leng Beng years ago, well, back in 1996, I was actually recruited by Mr. Felix Ong, who Tsang Ong company. This was a company that was owned by Hong Leong Group. Within the Hong Leong Group, Felix reported someone else who's known as one of the three lieutenants of Kwek Leng Beng. So it's been 20 over years, but guess what? What does this particular tussle actually holds for lessons for Singapore investors? That's something I want to explore in detail in this week's video. Now, this is despite the very, very cold temperature at Wakkanai. Wakkanai, as you ladies know, is the northernmost part of Japan, and just across the sea is Russia. But guess what? What does Russian investors hold, and what does Singapore investors hold? The commonality actually on here, and this is something I want to explore using an insider view on Hong Leong the Group. Philip Yeo says it's best. Philip is actually one of the leading directors of Hong Leong, and essentially, and city development. You can see essentially he was ex-EDB head, so he knows what he's saying. His focus, and concentration dedicated is that the current management should focus on making back the losses that CDL actually incurred, or basically city development incurred in the Sincere Properties case. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest blunder in corporate history in Singapore is city development losing 1.9 billion. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, not just 1 billion, but almost 2 billion in Sincere Properties in China. And that was actually under the directorship as well as actually the CEO leadership of Sherman Kwek. Ladies and gentlemen, when I was working in Hong Leong, the bottom line is the key thing. There's no such thing, ladies and gentlemen, in Hong Leong that, wow, you made it, let's hit it big, let's play big, and let's actually party. No such thing. When you do it well, you are expected to even produce even higher. Those were my years at Hong Leong. But let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. From the heart, I thank my ex-boss Felix, as well as actually thank Leng Beng, who is the ultimate leadership that essentially that drives the ethic, the ethos of investments, the essence of hard work, because that actually helps corporations drive profits higher and therefore the share price. And that's why you see, ladies and gentlemen, at the helm, during its height, Hong Leong or city development went to as high as almost $18. And you can see that the share price has crashed. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's crashed, and does hurt my heart that currently is only about 25% of its ultimate value of $18. Granted that it is painful that is at a 74% discount, and has been the case, a 74% discount to its revalue NAV for a long, long time. So you may be asking, ladies and gentlemen, will city development ever realize its revalue NAV? Mind you, ladies and gentlemen, revalue NAV is something that's calculated by analysts, but management must do something to crystallize the value. Otherwise, it is only theoretical. And ladies and gentlemen, we don't live in the theoretical world. Mind you, if it's snowing outside, keep yourself warm. And when the stock is hot, that's where you go in and make big money, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to making money in stock market, working hard is one thing, but working smart is equally important. And that's what we teach at GCB Global Investment.
Clear in the last 10 years, it's basically a cash cow business. Notwithstanding the difficulties they have with the real business. The second thing, of course, is that if you look at recent successful takeovers, it's quite clear that the offer price of 168 undervalues the business because the premium is valued 8.7%. If you look at the successful takeover of NOL, the premium paid was 49%. The premium paid for OSIP to privatize was 32%. And the premium for Tiger Airways to be taken private by SIA was 32%.
So, ladies and gentlemen, with the training that I've got, it's become very normal for me to compare and contrast companies when we invest in, do detailed research in terms of analyzing and synthesizing, especially more so when before we present it in our investment classes, the next of which is on the 17th of May. Feel free to sign up if you think that we can do a good job in making millions for your portfolio. Now, the second point, ladies and gentlemen, with regards to the Hong Leong saga and the CDL saga is this: don't wash your dirty linen in public. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this press release came out from Hong Leong Asia. They say that, well, there's no impact whatsoever. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, when your investments are listed, be it CDL Trust, CD Development, if they are listed vehicles, what investors these days do, unlike 20 over years ago when I was on the road advising them and telling them essentially the nuances, considerations. These days, because of index funds, ETFs, it is very easy to sell first and then ask the question later. So, ladies and gentlemen, what other questions to be asked? Because in the disagreement, Sherman Kwek came out and say that, look, there was this particular third party. That's actually Dr. Catherine Wu, who basically is the personal assistant of Kwek Leng Beng. Now, to what extent? I haven't had a chance of meeting Dr. Catherine Wu because after I left and before she joined, I was lucky because the training that I've got from my ex-boss as well as the Hong Leong framework actually allowed me to be headhunted by various security firms in Singapore to actually head institutional sales after my Wall Street training from 1996 to 1998. But the Channel News Asia configuration of Dr. Catherine Wool was this, that she developed an interest in cybersecurity and launched this company called GigCom, a cybersecurity conference that is held in May of last year. You know, I must salute her, in the sense that you will notice that in our classes, we actually focus a lot on cybersecurity in the last 2 to 3 years. One sector which actually outperformed the US tech sector. Surprisingly, not many people knows about it. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, in our next class on 17th of May, that's where we're going to talk more about that in regards to companies like Palo Alto, CrowdStrike, Sentinel One, as well as Fortinet. So to join us if you think that actually fits into your portfolio. In this instance, Dr. Catherine Wu has actually mentioned that Mr. Kwek Leng Beng was actually the honorary advisor of the conference. So very smart lady in that sense. On the other hand, of course, you have Mr. Sherman Kwek. And in this photograph, actually, you can see, ladies and gentlemen, that I met Sherman way back in 2016 or was it 2017 in this Fortune Times Pinnacle Awards. Where I was actually the head honorary judge and was be able to present some of the best awards to many of the outstanding companies, not only just in Singapore but in Asia. Sherman was actually there. I think he was actually quite smart enough, but unfortunately, this has actually become, a spectacle. But I'm sure essentially both parties would try to work out to see to reduce washing linen in the public. But as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we are actually now in uh, Wakanai. That's the northern tip of Japan. And come next week, we'll be heading down southwards with my wife to the Kushiro, which is another sub area that's freezing. And I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, this saga will continue. Let's examine. Feel free to subscribe to our channel so that you'll be updated on what's actually going on in the next part. So the players, the issues, the contention, but most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, the implications for you as an equity investor or a bond investor. That's what we examine for you. So in this episode, we cover two things. One is actually that focus on profitability, and two, don't wash your 30 million.